there should be more TouchDesigner tutorials on kind of simple things. So I'm going to show you how I made this Risograph-Style kind of little animation of my name and how to make some variants using textures in TouchDesigner. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is hit Tab, and you want a constant. So I'm going to type in constant. Okay, I'm going to set the resolution just so we don't have to keep doing it. So res, and I'm going to make it, I don't know, 1280. Cool. So we have our resolution. Now I'm going to add the text. So I'll hit Tab again, go back to tops, and type in text to find text. I'm going to do this with just an R, and then I'll go into font, and where it says auto size, I'm going to do auto fit always to make it easier. And the font that I chose was Bond Script Semi-Bold Condense. Yeah, but you can pick whatever you want. And then in common, I want to use the resolution. So I'm going to hit the viewer active button here, and then drag this into the here, and I'll click chop reference, and it'll create the connection between resolution, horizontal, and vertical with this value. Okay, what else? In common, I'm just going to change this to nearest pixel. Yeah, that's fine for now. Actually, pixel format. I'm going to do 32-bit float. Well, actually, yeah, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it. Okay, cool. I have my text. Now I'm going to add a null, just an empty channel. Oops, N-U-L. Cool. Okay, I have null, and then I want to, add, I'm going to add another null. I'll work between it. So you can hit Alt-N, or I think it's Option-N, to automatically create another null. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I right-clicked here instead of hitting Tab, so it's automatically connected, is I'm going to add an out. And I'm going to hit the little display flag, and now it's in the back. So I've got text, two empty ones, and an out. Okay, cool. So what I want to do is I want to create an effect that kind of makes the edges a little bit jagged. So I'm going to make some room here, and then I'm going to right click between the nulls, insert operator, and I'm going to hit, yeah, displace. Cool, it's giving me an X because there's nothing displacing this texture, there's just that. So I'm going to add a noise. Tab, type in noise, and we're going to use this noise to displace this texture. So, okay, I'm going to connect it into the second connection of displace, and it gets all kind of messed up. We don't want that. So I'm going to change the weight that it's displacing it. Right now it's at 1. I want it to be at 0.002. I'll just copy and paste that. Okay, so you can see it's like a little bit wavy along the edges. And then I'm going to go, let's see, I made some adjustments to the noise. I did period 0.04, which just makes it tiny. Harmonics I changed to 9. I was just playing around with this for a while. 18.5. You can do whatever you want. Harmonic gain 1.1. And then I made the exponent 3.79. Okay, so the actual noise looks like this. It has this effect, which looks a little bit like it ends up looking a little bit like paper bleed. But to make it kind of funky, I'm going to go into transform of noise, and I'm going to animate it moving forwards. So this is the x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So I'm going to type a line of code that I learned from watching these tutorials before I even really understood how to use Python in this. So just copy it. It's ABS, and then a capital T, time, dot, seconds. And it's going to make it go really fast. So usually what I'll do is I'll click on it and I'll divide it by something, so that's a bit more chill. So if I divide it by 10, it looks like this. And that, I think, is a little bit better. Okay, no I'm not, because then you lose the video. Okay, what next? Now I'm going to add a level, and why I'm going to do that is because when we are layering the different colors over each other, we want it to be a little bit see-through. So right after that first text, I'm going to right click here and add a level. We're only going to use this level to change the opacity. So click on level, and it's in post. So under post, you have opacity, and I made mine around 0.065. That can't be right. 0.65, that's better. So now we have our wobbly letter that's a little bit see-through. Awesome. Okay, so we have our letter, and now I want to color the letter. So maybe I'll do this before I displace it. So between the null and the displace, I want to take this white and I want to overlay it with a color. So I'm going to add I'm going to tab, and I'm going to search constant. That creates just a field of color. I would love it if the resolution was the same as our one over here. So I'm going to hit the viewer active button again and drag that into resolution, chop reference. Cool, now it's the correct resolution. The color I want for this is pink. That's kind of hard on my eyes. Make it a bit lighter. Cool. So I have this constant, and I need to composite it. I need to kind of layer it over this. And we do that with a composite top. So I right-clicked to insert one there, and I search for composite. And it's giving me that error again because there's nothing going into it except for the one thing. So I can drag the connection from my constant into the composite, and what do you know? We get a semi-see-through pink layer. So I created my text, made it kind of see-through, made it pink, made it wiggly, and sent it out. Okay, perfect. The actual operation that's in composite you could change. Multiply works. A top works if you swap the order, but don't worry about that. Multiply works. And you can always swap the order here if you find it isn't working, but this is fine. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do while I'm here is I'm going to add a white color behind it and a paper texture over it. So maybe I'll do that in between the last empty one and the out. So, okay, let's add another composite because that's kind of go-to when you're adding layers together. And then I'm going to copy paste this constant over here because it already has the correct resolution, but I'm going to change that to white, or maybe like a little blue, whatever, mostly white. And I'll add that into the composite, but I need to change the operation because it's kind of overlaying it again. So the one that I used was, I think a top was this one actually. Yeah, a top was this one. Awesome. So it's a bit easier to read if you can see the signal flowing through the wire like this, but I like to kind of keep operators that I have in pairs one over the other one, as I did here, and here, and here. So you can kind of get a linear sense of what I'm doing. Okay, so I added the paper, and now I have a paper texture that I downloaded, and it's from a free photo website, so I'll leave the link. But what I need to do to make this able to be used is I need to make it have the correct resolution. So I'm going to add a fit top. So fit. And they're connected. Good. I'll change the fit to fit outside. Awesome. And then I think I'm going to want this to be a bit more see-through. So I'm going to add a level, the same that we did before, just to mess with the opacity. Okay, so I have my brown paper, and now I need another composite, another comp. Okay, second comp, I'll feed this in. Okay, and this is significantly too dark. I had this on, what was it? Pin light before. But I don't know if I really like that. So let me change it back to multiply, but I'm going to go and make it more see-through. In post, oh no, that didn't work either. Okay, I made it more see-through, and sometimes you have to go into the comp and change until you find one that you like. Can you see it at all here? Not really. Maybe if I change the operation order. No. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to turn on the preview grid for the comp to see if there are any options that look how I want it to look. So I want to still be able to see the white under it, but I want it to have a bit of that otherness. So there's one over here that looks like it could be good. And this one down here. This is going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14. It's going to be the 15th one. Let's see if I can find it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, you know what? That works. Freeze works. So now I've got a paper-ish texture. I've got my pink R. I've got it wobbling a bit. And I've got the white background behind it. So I don't want to see these. These are annoying and they take up space. So I'm going to right click and drag and highlight all of them. Right click somewhere else and pick selected. And it didn't work. That's because, oh, it didn't carry over these. Okay, the resolution didn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in, replacing these, the 1280 by 1280. Excellent. So, okay, how I went inside of this is I pressed I for in, and it created a in and an out. It's like the whole thing was compressed into a function. So I've got all of those things I wanted collapsed in between in and out. And if I press U for up, so I for in, U for up, I go back out. And the in would go in through this side, and the out would go out through the other side. So I'm going to call this paper layers. Cool. So now I've got my out, my paper layers, and a null. That's excellent. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to be able to create multiple iterations of this R in different colors, and I want to move them slightly off of each other so that you can move them around and get that overlay. So what do I know? I know that this whole thing here I'm probably going to have to redo, but instead of that I could copy paste. I want to keep the empty channel unused. That's definitely the easiest course of action. But I'm going to use this null. Okay. Copy. Don't worry about it. I'm going to drag over the null and then both of the effects I did on the R, and I'm going to copy paste and then paste one more time. Cool. So now after we had the see-through function, it splits off into null 1, null 3, and null 4. I'm going to change this to pink space start. This one, let's make it blue space start. And this one is going to be yellow start. And in order to get the color we want over them, we just have to change the constant. So we have pink here. For the blue one, I'll make it maybe like this. For the yellow one, let's do something like this. And also to give them a little bit of variation, the way that the pink one is wiggling here, that's specific because of the noise. And the noise right now is copy and pasted 3 times. But we can set the seed where the noise starts to be something else, and we'll have a totally different transformation. So I'm clicking on the second noise, noise 2, and where it says seed, I'm just going to pick something random. So now it's slightly different. Same with the yellow. Noise 3, noise, something random. Okay, now I've got 3 slightly different ones. And what I want to do is I want to composite them together to go into this null. So I'm going to right click on the connection, add another composite, and the operation this time is, what is it? Over. Okay, drag this one and this one. Awesome. So they're layered over each other, and now they're all different colors. But you can't really see it, and you can't get the risograph effect because they're all right on top of each other. So before these transformations, I want to move each of these just slightly. So I'm going to drag everything that's here, move it over a tiny bit, and then I want to add transform components here. So, sorry, transform operators. Right click, insert, transform. And I'll do the same thing for these. If you drag this and hover over a connection that exists, it'll replace it. So I'm copying and pasting, using this to replace this one, using this to replace this one. You could always just break the connections and redo them, but that works. Okay, let's move the pink one a little bit. So if I click transform, I get these parameters, and let's make this like 0.02 over to the side, and then let's go 0.1. No, that's way too much. 0.01 up. Okay, cool. And then let's take the yellow one. Where are we? Pink start, blue start, yellow start. I'm going to move the transform. Translate, let's go down. Negative, or off to the side. 0.005. And then let's go down, so negative, negative, 0.01. Awesome. I'm not in love with these colors because I like it when it's a bit more purple here. So I wonder what I could change. Maybe if I change the color of the pink slightly. Maybe it's the blue. I don't know. This is just like particularities, of course. But the way you have the different colors will change how they kind of interact with each other. So let's say I want to move this a little further away even. Oh no. Yellow down even more. Yeah. So if you wanted just the pink and blue, you can bypass the whole yellow layer. If you go to the start of it, this button here is bypass. Oh. doesn't bypass. What if I selected all of them and hit bypass? Yeah, cool. So there you go. They're moving in slightly different ways because the noise starts at different places. We've got our paper texture over it, we've got our white under it, and it kind of creates a cool layer effect. If you wanted to go through all the different ways that you can composite them, there's a lot. I haven't found any that I particularly love, but you can move around the different parts of it. If you hold down the middle mouse button, you get like increments. So if I hovered over the 0.01, now if I move to the side, I'm changing it by an increment of 0.01. So middle button, 0.01. You could create a whole bunch of cool effects with this. And the last thing I'll show you is that once you've made this whole system, you can kind of change it to have whatever text you want. So let's say I'm going to copy paste this text, and let's say I want my name. I can replace this connection between text and level with my new text. And now I have that. I could even do it with a circle. Just going to make sure I have the right resolution, otherwise it'll be ugly. Replace it with that. Now you have the same thing. And let's say I wanted to have the yellow back in there. Yeah, you could animate this, you can do it with any kinds of textures, but it's a simple way to create some videos. Last thing then, actually, if you would like to record this out, you add onto the end of the chain, movie file out, and then hit the plus to give it a name, record it out as a movie or an image or whatever you want. Not feeling the yellow. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed my first simple TouchDesigner tutorial.